If you feel like everyone else has figured life out except you, you're not broken. You're just seeing the world more clearly than most people are willing to admit. You wake up, you go through the motions, you scroll, you compare, and somewhere deep inside, there's this quiet voice that whispers, "What am I even doing with my life?" You're not depressed, you're not lazy, you're not failing, but you also don't feel alive. You feel like you're drifting, like everyone around you has a map, and somehow you miss the day they handed them out. Your friends seem sure. Your family asks what your plan is. Social media shows you people half your age who've already made it. And you? You feel like you're standing in the middle of a crowded room, completely invisible, wondering if you'll ever figure out where you're supposed to go. Maybe you've achieved things. Maybe you have the degree, the job, the relationship. But there's still this hollow feeling, like you're watching your own life happen instead of living it. Like you're an actor playing a role you never auditioned for. You lie awake at night, asking questions that feel too big to answer. Is this all there is? Did I take a wrong turn somewhere? Is it too late to change? And the worst part? You can't even explain it to people. Because on paper, you're fine, you're doing okay. So you smile, you say you're good, and you carry this weight alone. If that's you, this video is for you. Because what you're experiencing isn't a flaw, it's a signal. And understanding why you feel this way might be the most important thing you learn this year. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm not here to sell you a course or tell you I have all the answers. I'm just someone who spent years studying psychology, human behavior, neuroscience, and the patterns that show up when people feel stuck. I've read hundreds of studies. I've interviewed people from every walk of life. And I've lived through this feeling myself more times than I care to admit. And here's what I've discovered. The people who feel most lost are often the ones who are closest to a breakthrough. Not because they're special, not because they're chosen, but because feeling lost is what happens when your brain realizes the life you're living doesn't match the life you actually want. It's not confusion, it's clarity trying to break through the noise. Let me show you what's really happening inside your mind and why understanding this changes everything. There's a concept in psychology called narrative identity. It was pioneered by Dr. Dan McAdams, a personality psychologist who spent decades studying how people create meaning in their lives. Here's what he found. Your sense of self isn't just based on personality traits or memories. It's based on the story you tell yourself about who you are, where you're going, and why your life matters. When that story is clear and coherent, you feel grounded, you feel purpose, you know who you are. But when that story fractures or stops making sense, you feel lost, unmoored, like you're floating in open water with no land in sight. Here's the problem most people don't realize. We don't write our first narrative. We inherit it from parents, from teachers, from culture, from social media, from religion, from the dominant story of success that our society repeats over and over. We're told, go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a degree, find a stable job, climb the ladder, buy a house, get married, have kids, work for 40 years, retire, the script. And for a long time, maybe years, maybe decades, following the script feels safe. It feels like progress. It feels like you're doing what you're supposed to do. But then something shifts. Maybe you hit 25 and realize you chose a career path because someone else told you it was practical. Maybe you hit 30 and look around at your life and think, I have everything I thought I wanted, so why do I feel empty? Maybe you hit 35 or 40 or 50 and suddenly realize, I've been living on autopilot. When did I stop choosing? That's the moment your brain starts asking a dangerous question. Is this really my life, or am I just living someone else's dream? And that question, it shatters the narrative. Suddenly, you don't know who you are anymore, because the story you were following wasn't yours to begin with. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine you're reading a book. You're halfway through, fully invested in the protagonist's journey. The plot is moving forward. There's momentum. Then suddenly, plot twist, you realize you're not reading your story. You're reading a story someone else wrote for you. The protagonist isn't you. The goals aren't yours. The values aren't yours. The ending isn't yours. that jolt of confusion, that disorientation, that feeling of wait. What am I even doing? That's what feeling lost actually is. It's not that you lack direction. It's not that you're broken or weak or behind. It's that you're waking up to the fact that the direction you were heading wasn't authentically chosen. You were following a map designed by someone else. And here's the paradox that nobody talks about. The people who never feel lost are often the ones sleepwalking through life. They never question, they never wake up, they follow the script from beginning to end, and they call it a good life. Maybe it is, but it's not their life. You woke up. And waking up is terrifying, because once you see that you've been living on autopilot, you can't unsee it. You're standing at a crossroads, and every direction feels equally uncertain. But here's what I want you to understand. This uncertainty isn't the problem. This uncertainty is the doorway. So let's reframe this completely. Feeling lost isn't a sign that something's wrong with you. It's a sign that something is finally going right. Your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do. Protect you from living a life that doesn't serve you. Think about physical pain for a second. When you touch a hot stove, your nervous system sends an immediate signal. Danger, pull back. That pain isn't a malfunction. It's information. It's your body protecting you. Anxiety works the same way. We treat it like a disease. But anxiety is just your nervous system saying, something here doesn't feel safe. It's a warning signal. And feeling lost? It's the same thing. It's your internal compass saying, we're off course. The path we're on doesn't align with who we actually are. We need to recalibrate. The problem is, we've been conditioned to fear this feeling, to interpret it as failure, to see it as evidence that we're not good enough, not strong enough, not disciplined enough. So instead of listening to it, we try to numb it. We distract ourselves. We scroll for hours. We binge Netflix. We overwork. We drink. We shop. We stay busy. We pretend we're fine. We tell ourselves, I just need to push through. I just need to work harder. I just need to be more grateful. But you can't outrun your own mind. You can't gaslight yourself into alignment. The only way through this is to stop running and start listening. To ask yourself the questions you've been avoiding. What do I actually want when I strip away what I think I should want? Who would I be if no one was watching or judging? What would I do if I wasn't afraid of disappointing people? What parts of my life feel true and what parts feel like performance? These aren't easy questions. They don't have neat answers, but they're the questions that rebuild your narrative. They're the questions that turn confusion into clarity, slowly, step by step. Because here's the truth. You don't need to have your whole life figured out. You just need to take one honest step. Let me give you a framework that helped me and thousands of others I've worked with move from lost to grounded. I call it the 3 anchors method. When you feel adrift, it's because you've lost connection to 3 core anchors. Reconnect with these and the fog starts to lift. Anchor 1, identity, clarity. Who am I when I strip away all external expectations? Not your job title, not your productivity, not your relationship status, not your achievements, not what your parents wanted you to be, not what society says you should be. Who are you? What do you value? What makes you feel alive? What would you do even if no one ever saw it or praised you for it? What do you stand for? What pisses you off? What breaks your heart? What lights you up? I want you to actually write this down. Get a journal, open a note on your phone, and just start writing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be final. It will change. That's okay. Start with, I am someone who, and fill in the blank. 10 times, 20 times, as many times as it takes. I am someone who values deep conversations. I am someone who needs time alone to recharge. I am someone who cares more about creativity than money. This isn't about discovering some hidden true self. It's about authoring your identity instead of inheriting it. Anchor 2, directional purpose. What is one small direction I can move toward that feels aligned? Listen carefully. You don't need a life purpose. You don't need your calling. You don't need a 1-0-year plan. You just need one direction that feels honest, one small pull, one curiosity, one value you want to live by. Maybe it's learning something, writing, building, creating, connecting with people more deeply, spending more time in nature, starting therapy, reading philosophy, volunteering, learning to draw. It doesn't matter what it is. It just has to feel true. And here's the key. Direction is not destination. You're not committing to this forever. You're just saying, right now, this feels aligned. So I'm gonna walk toward it and see what I learn. Purpose isn't found, it's built, step by step, experiment by experiment. Anchor 3, present permission. Can I give myself permission to not have it all figured out right now? This is the hardest anchor. Because we live in a world that glorifies certainty, that celebrates people who have it all together, that makes you feel like everyone else has a plan and you're the only one who's lost. But that's a lie. Certainty is a myth. No one has it, not really. The people who seem most sure, they're either lying, they're delusional, or they're not paying attention to their own lives. The most honest, self-aware people I know will tell you, I'm figuring it out as I go. So give yourself permission to be in the mess, to be in process, to be becoming instead of being, to not have answers yet, to change your mind, to try things and fail, to disappoint people, to take longer than you thought. You are not behind. There is no timeline. There is no race. You're exactly where you need to be. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I can feel the resistance, so let me address it. But I don't even know where to start. Start with observation. For the next 7 days, just notice when you feel most like yourself, when time disappears, when you're not performing or pretending, when you feel energized instead of drained. That's data. That's your compass, pointing you somewhere real. I'm too old to start over. I've already invested so much time in this path. First, you're not starting over. You're starting true. There's a difference. Second, the sunk cost fallacy is one of the most dangerous traps in human psychology. Just because you've invested time in something doesn't mean you owe it your future. You don't get those years back by sacrificing more years. And third, some of the most fulfilled, alive people I know didn't find their path until their 40s, 50s, even 60s. Your timeline is yours, not society's. What if I make the wrong choice? What if I regret it? Here's the truth. There is no wrong choice when you're choosing from a place of honesty and self-awareness. The only wrong choice is continuing to live a life that isn't yours out of fear. Every step you take toward alignment teaches you something. Even if you pivot later, even if it doesn't work out the way you thought, you're gathering information, you're building self-trust, you're learning who you are. Regret doesn't come from trying and failing. Regret comes from never trying at all. I'm scared of what people will think. My family, my friends, my partner. I get it. I really do. But here's what I need you to understand. The people who judge you for changing, for choosing yourself, for stepping off the script, they're the ones too afraid to do it themselves. Your transformation threatens their comfort. Your courage exposes their fear. The ones who truly love you, they'll celebrate your courage. They'll support your growth. They might not understand it at first, but they'll come around. And the ones who don't, the ones who shame you, guilt you, or try to pull you back into the old story, they were never your people anyway. And that's painful to realize. But it's also liberating. You are not responsible for living a small life to make other people comfortable. So here's what I want you to do. Not because I'm telling you to, but because it might actually help. Take out your phone right now. Open your notes app and write down 3 things. One thing you know to be true about yourself, even if you've been ignoring it, even if it scares you, even if it contradicts the story you've been telling everyone else. One tiny direction you could explore that feels honest, even if it seems impractical. Even if you don't know where it leads. Just one small pull. One permission you need to give yourself today. To rest, to change, to not know, to disappoint someone, to try, to fail, to start. That's it. No pressure, no deadline, no judgment. Just start listening to yourself again. And if you want, leave a comment below. Tell me one truth about where you are right now. I'll read every single one. Not to fix you, not to coach you, but to witness you. Because sometimes being seen for who you really are is the first step to finding your way. If you're feeling lost right now, I need you to hear this one more time. You're not behind, you're not broken, you're not wasting your life. You're in the space between stories. The old one stopped working, and the new one hasn't fully formed yet. And that space, it's uncomfortable, it's uncertain, but it's also sacred. It's where transformation happens. It's where you stop being who you were supposed to be and start becoming who you actually are. Not everyone gets to this space. Most people never wake up, they never question, they never feel this discomfort because they never challenge the script. But you did, and that takes courage. Real, raw courage. So honor it, sit with it, don't rush it. And trust that clarity doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from being brave enough to ask better questions. You're exactly where you need to be. The fact that you watched this whole video tells me you're ready, you're listening, you're willing. And I'm genuinely proud of you for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, be kind to yourself. You're doing so much better than you think.